Hi everyone, my name is Corey, also known as GRC Corey, and today I'm going to be discussing a practical cybersecurity project that you, the viewer, can do that can help you get into cybersecurity, specifically GRC. And hopefully that this project, it's based off of a self-assessment, but hopefully the goal is to at least get you an eyebrow raise and a callback. So let's get into it. So cybersecurity has become a critical concern for all agencies and all businesses of all sizes. And it's important for those agencies and businesses to know their IT security programs, infrastructure, and most importantly, their maturity level and where they're at. So in comes the NCSR. What is the NCSR? Well, it's this, the National Cybersecurity Review, also known as the NCSR. It's basically a self-assessment tool that allows agencies to understand their IT security maturity and where they stand. And the self-assessment itself is on a maturity level from 1 to 7, 1 being non-existent to 7 being optimized. And only government agencies can take this self-assessment, but there is another one called the CSAT, the Cybersecurity Self-Assessment Tool. It's basically the same as the NCSR. And where does this project come into play? Well, the project comes into play where I'm going to give a step-by-step guide review of the NCSR, which is based off of the cybersecurity framework, the NIST CSF. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick an organization, pick an agency, pick a company, but I strongly recommend picking a government organization or a school or whatever it may be, because the information is more publicly available and you can just easily look it up. And if you don't know the answer, you can easily make guesses and references and get pretty darn close. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out a step-by-step guide of what to do and how to conduct the project. So hopefully you guys can have a project under your belt that is practical and it's a good talking point within interviews when you get interviews and callbacks. So step 1, what is step 1? Step 1 is to just download the tool. And I'm going to drop a link down below of the video so you can download the tool. So I make it available for everyone. And in the tool, there's going to be 2 versions. There is going to be 1.1 and there's going to be a 2.0. I strongly recommend not to use the 2.0 and to use the 1.1 version, just because it'd be easier to actually get a better and more accurate score of your self-assessment of that organization. Because 2.0, it has a whole different function in there called governance, which is an entirely separate video, but essentially it's going to have a bunch of like policies, risk assessment stuff, like more internal things that you're just not going to know and not going to be able to find. So I highly recommend doing the 1.1 version, but if you want to use the 2.0, you can definitely use that as well. Step 2 is to choose an organization. Now, earlier in the video, I said to choose a public organization or school, which I still highly recommend doing, just because the information is going to be more widely and publicly available for you to find, which it's going to make the self-assessment easier and more accurate. You can choose a private organization. Let's say that you work for a company and it's your own organization, so you have access to the SOPs and whatnot and AUPs. And that's totally fine. But otherwise, I would recommend using a public organization, just because of all that information I just listed out. But you're going to want to pick an organization or a company, anything, and then start there. Step 3 is to actually go through the NCSR and to just start the self-assessment. So there's going to, in 1.1 version, there's going to be 108 questions in the subcategories, and then the 2.0, there's going to be 106. It's going to be quite a bit, so you don't have to do it all in one go. Take your time, or if you want to do it in all in one go, then coffee up and just power through it. Um, but I highly recommend not doing it all in one go because it is a dense amount of work. So break it up into smaller pieces. But overall, yeah, step 3 is you're just gonna want to do the self-assessment itself and go through each question and find the information that is related to that question, and then give that question a maturity level. Either it's 1, 2, all the way to 7, where it's 1 non-existent or 7 optimized. And within the tool, there's going to be a maturity level guide. So you're going to know which maturity level to give that question. It's all going to be in the tool itself. So don't be confused. Don't be worried. It's going to be all there ready and available for you. And I'll also add other tools and information to make the process a bit easier as well. Step 4 and 5 is to complete the NCSR and then review the material. So once you completed the NCSR, you're going to want to review the material and to make sure that the information that you have is both accurate as possible and it's correct to your best of your knowledge. Of course, it's going to be a self-assessment, so there's going to be a bit of subjectivity there, but that's completely fine. Get it as close and as best as possible with the information that you have. Review the information and then go from there to step 6, which step 6 is perform a risk assessment. So after you completed your NCSR and you have all the maturity levels aligned and it's accurate as to the best of your knowledge with the information that you have, you're going to want to review the material and pick out the areas that could use improvement within that organization's IT security program. And then from there, you're going to want to perform risk assessments on those areas that are 1 to, I would say, 4, because 5, as you'll know once you go to the tool, is that a risk assessment is already performed and the agency knows its risks. So anything from 1 to 4, do a risk assessment on that and lay out all the risks that could be associated with that question of that sub-function. And step 7 and 8 are going to be to complete the risk assessment and create a report. So once you chose the areas that you want to do a risk assessment on, you're going to complete that risk assessment and then generate a report. Once you have that report, you have all the information that says, hey, this is the area of subcategory I chose that has a weak point within your IT security maturity program. And I chose it for this reason. Here are all the risks that are involved with that question, that if carried out, this would be the likelihood and impact of that risk. That's pretty simple. That's pretty straightforward. You generate that report and then add it to the tool, to the NCSR. And finally, steps 9 and 10 are to finalize everything and then put it in your resume. So once you feel comfortable with all the information that you have in the tool and your risk assessment and the report itself, finalize that bad boy and then put it in a portfolio and then put it on your resume saying that you did this. It's a great talking point to have on your resume, and it shows a lot of things. It shows that you have initiative. It shows that you can conduct risk assessments. It shows that at least for the public sector, you know what the NCSR is and these different types of tools that you used, and it overall looks really good on a resume. And especially if you crack that first part with the recruiter and you get that interview, it looks really, really good because it tells me that you know what the heck you're talking about. And so that is the entirety of the project right there. I challenge you, the viewer, to do this project and to complete it and put it on your resume. I really hope that you guys do that because I guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome time doing it. It's really fun. You build practical knowledge and skills, and it's something that you can put on your resume. If you guys have any questions about the project or you want to see me go through it myself and you guys can follow along on a separate video, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just put down in the comments that you want that or directly message me. Either way you want to do it, it's fine with me. But if you liked the video and you liked the project and the idea, please like the video, share it, and subscribe. As always, coffee up, and I'll see you in the next video. Have an excellent day.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my love.